Un billón está en mi mente, yo sé que es mucha gente. Un billón está en mi mente.
And welcome to the Un Billón Mindset podcast. I am your host, Marisol Uribe, aka Enfermera Marisol. This podcast is all about exceeding expectations, right? If your role, say at work, is a nurse, you can totally do more than that, as my case. So I am a podcaster, I am a music artist, and I am the host for Un Beyond Mindset podcast. So today I have Jeffrey Pinzon, and he has multiple hats as well. So business owner, entrepreneur, father. Please introduce yourself, Jeffrey, and I'm honored to have you on the show.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, Marisol, thank you for this opportunity to be on your podcast. When you told me, I was like, yeah, let's do it, man. I'm all about it. I like surrounding myself with people that are always bettering themselves and providing value for other people. So yeah, like you mentioned, I'm 35 years young. I'm happily married. I have 3 kids. I run a solar company, and I also have a podcast called Unleash Your Power. And we actually created a 3rd company, which now we're going to be hosting events called Go Ahead. So I'm excited, man. A lot of stuff that I've been learning in my 30 years of living here. I've been implementing a lot of the stuff in the last couple of years that I've seen some results, and it's exciting. So thank you once again for having me here.
Absolutely. So from your first business to now your last, Go Heavy, tell me about that trajectory. What started each?
So how I started, I got into sales since I was a little kid. I've been selling. I remember in high school, middle school, I was that kid that sold candies, sold chips. I sold clothes to the students, to the teachers. I had that entrepreneurship spirit already, because I would see my parents sell clothes, sell appliances, flip them for a profit. So I'm like, I'm interested in that, right? I like that. And as I grew older, I fell in love with it. And one of the blessings in disguise was that I was undocumented. So I couldn't get a 9-to-5, right? I couldn't go and get a 9-to-5. So as a result, I had to do something else, right? I didn't want to get into selling drugs or anything like that. So I'm like, hey, what can I do? I'm good at talking to people. I started selling from the trunk of my car. Fast forward, my first job, my first legit job, right, was with ADT when I got my work permit. That was door-to-door sales. So I learned tremendously. I was good at selling, but something about door knocking a complete stranger's house was completely different. It was a mindset shift. So I learned tremendously in that industry. I learned a lot about myself, and I started transitioning that to my other businesses. Now, everything that I've learned in the alarm, we're doing it, implementing it in our solar company. I've been in solar. This is going to be coming up 3 years. So I love what I do. It's a great product for the consumers. But at the same time, I feel like this is a kind of like a personal development company where we want to bring out the best out of other people. And solar is just a byproduct. That's what we offer. But at the end of the day, is we get people that want to become better and stronger. And now the 3rd company is the Go Heavy event. Now we're gathering masterminds, right? People that are playing at a high level to put them together in a room where now people are able to see the possibilities, right? The possibilities of what happens when you continue moving forward, despite the setbacks and the challenges that show up in the process. So it's again a beautiful thing when you start up leveling your life and surrounding yourself with other people, like-minded people, that it starts becoming contagious, that you start creating different possibilities in your mind. Like, hey, what else can I do? How else can I be a contribution? So.
Absolutely. And I met Jeffrey at a Driven event. He was seated front row, center stage, taking notes. And something that instantly attracted me was how good he was at marketing. So he had his Instagram handle with a QR code in the neck of the back.
Yeah.
And so sure enough, I scanned your shirt. I looked into it. I'm like, who is this guy? Right. And there he is. So he's such an open book. He puts himself out there because he knows that you need the information that he has, whether it's think about solar, think about leveling up, right? Going heavy in your life, going un billón, right? So what does
Exactly.
that mean to you? When did mentorship begin for Jeffrey?
Oh man, I've been being mentor throughout my whole life, man. I think I remember when I was 18, I moved out on my own. And I actually moved in with my sister's ex-boyfriend, Diego, and his family. And this guy was like actually one of my first mentors. And I was just sharing this with my wife the other day. And I'm reading a book called the Silva Mind Control Method, and he touches on the power of words, right? And I remember when I lived with this gentleman, I was listening to Tego Calderon, Julio Voltio, and like the lyrics were like some harsh lyrics, right? And he sat me down and he's like, look, man, he's like, all that you're listening to, it might sound good to you, but that's being programmed in your subconscious mind. The more that you listen to it, and he grabbed a glass of a cup of water, and he's like, the vibration that those words are giving you is a negative vibration, and that's gonna get engraved in your subconscious mind. And I'm like, man, you're full of it. In my mind, right? In my mind, I'm 18, I'm all wild. I'm like, dude, you're full of it. Little did I know is what he was saying that was true. And now I'm conscious of a lot of the stuff, man. One of my favorite rappers of all time is Tupac. There's music that I can't listen to anymore of Tupac because I'm like, no, I can't say that. No, I can't say that either. Damn, I can't sing this song anymore. Right? But now you're conscious of it. So that was one of my first mentors. And throughout my career, man, I've had different mentors in different stages of my lives. And I think that mentorship is very important. Why? Because it supports for you to see your blind spots, how you're showing up to the world. And more importantly, you could, if you're dealing with an issue, you could address that issue to your mentor, and they could help you out, right? Sometimes we want to figure it out all on our own, but a lot of other people have the answers that could support you. So being with the right mentor, I've always had a mentor in sports. You see it, man. Every successful athlete has a mentor, has a coach, right? Somebody that is bringing that greatness out of them. So success leaves clues, right? So if they're doing it and they're playing at a high level, why shouldn't you, right? If you want to get to that high level, you need the right people with the right resources. So mentorship is huge. The right mastermind, like I just got out of a call that we started 2 weeks ago. I've been doing these calls for the last 2.5 years, and the group of people that are in there is like a powerful mastermind. There's a lot of people that are playing a big game, and we're all sharing with each other. The more that we share, the more that we get. That's the power of a mastermind and having mentorship, because it allows you to see different perspective. Everybody looks at things differently. When we all come together, we could collectively gather that information and now make ourselves better and the people around us better.
Totally. And mentorship can come in different forms. It could be a book, it could be a seminar, it could be a mastermind.
Absolutely.
So tell me about the time that you paid top dollar, your first time for a big event. Was it a stretch? Did you feel fearful?
Yeah.
Or was it natural for you as the next step in your journey?
At first, so my first event was that I paid good amount of money was Tony Robbins. I did a business mastery. For that one was $10,000. And mind you, man, I think those were like the only $10,000 I had saved. But when you're in that environment, like I wanted to learn, right? And I wanted to gather that information. And that was gonna allow me to connect with other people. That was gonna allow me to see what's in me, right? So I've never been afraid of investing in myself. Yeah, I graduated from high school, but I never went to college. But I've paid my tuition. Like I've invested thousands and thousands of dollars in masterminds and events and seminars and coaching. Every event that I try to go now, I always try to get the best seat. Why? Because I want to be around that proximity, and I want to. Now I'm more intentional, right? In the beginning, I was a seminar junkie, right? I was going to every seminar. I was at that person that will, hey, you went to that event? Yeah, I went to it. You went to that event? Yeah, I went to it. But yet I wasn't doing anything with that information, right? Information is all good and dandy, right? All these books have powerful information. It's meaningless if I don't do anything about it once I have that information, right? All that is cute, right? All that is good. But if I'm not applying it, and I was in a point in my life that I'm like, man, I've gathered so much information, yet I don't have nothing to show for it. And I had to get out of that conversation and be like, now I'm looking at it different. It's like, thank God I invested all that money. Thank God I surrounded myself with all that people, because now I have that information. I have countless of notebooks of information that now I could be that vessel to share this with other people now and actually implement it in my life, more importantly, right? So
Perfect. That's
you gotta
amazing.
invest in yourself, man. You gotta be willing to invest in yourself, because if you don't, no one else will.
Exactly. And if you don't bet on yourself, you're the one that you spend the most time with
Mm-hmm.
in your whole life. It's not your
Yeah.
spouse, it's not your kids. You need to be okay with you.
100%.
And if you need to make some changes, read a book, shake
Yeah.
some hands, definitely get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
No growth comes out from a little shell. You have to bloom and become, your
Yeah.
butterfly.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to piggyback on what you said, you have to fall in love with yourself. You got to respect yourself. You gotta speak life into you, right? And we're constantly having conversations on our mind all the time. We gotta stop and look at what are those conversations. Are they good? Are they empowering? Are they disempowering? How is that affecting us? How is that supporting us? And be conscious of it. The more that you fall in love with yourself, the more that you start caring for yourself, and you start carrying yourself different.
I love it, Jeffrey. So, for our listeners who are experiencing this self-doubt, who still see themselves as, kind of not being able to grow, what do you think is the biggest setback from people?
I will say, from speaking from experience, is taking accountability of where you're at, right? Because where you're at it's a product of your results, right? You're there where at whatever position that you're at right now, whether it's good, whether it's bad, if you're fat, if you're skinny, if you're out of shape, if your bank account is out of shape, right? Whatever it is, it's because of your results, right? Because of the actions that you've taken, or even the inactions that you have not taken, right? So I think taking inventory of where you're at, right? Becoming vulnerable with yourself. Sometimes we don't want to be vulnerable because we want to project that image that we're doing good, right? Because of social media, that you get in your cocoon and only you know where you're at, right? You're trying to project this image that, yeah, I'm doing big things, this and that, but only you know where you're at, right? So becoming clear and authentic with yourself, that's the first step. Because from there, now you're able to see, okay, something's not working. I need to implement something else, because if I continue, it's going to be insanity, right? I'm going to be in the same position, doing the same thing, expecting a different result, and I'm going to get stuck. And as a matter of fact, now my attitude is going to be even more negative, because I'm not getting the results that I want. I know what to do. I'm not doing it. So now you're digging yourself deeper, right? So becoming clear. I think in the course that we're doing, thinking into results, there's today's chapter was the knowing doing gap. Like, you know what to do, and what you want is here, but there's a gap in between. Your job is to figure out how to close that gap, right? How to get from here to where you actually want to get to, right?
Jeffrey had a live on Instagram yesterday, and I hopped on real quick, and he was talking about this gladiator speech that Tony taught us. I myself went to a business mastery last August.
Oh, I love it.
It was amazing. I flew out to Florida, and I sat next to all these platinum partners, and I had 3 people text me, "Hey, you're going to date with Destiny," because here's the pre-party to the pre-event.
Yeah. That's like his favorite, right? That you with Destiny?
Oh man, I haven't been to that one,
Me
but
neither.
Miss Business Mastery in person. But yeah, just like you, right? You kind of look at the cost of a ticket and travel, hotel, everything, right? But you know what? It's a matter of figuring out the how, right? Getting the resources,
Mhm.
um, doing multiple things, whatever you need to do to pay off your debt fast, right?
Mhm.
Like if you have a credit card, let's say it's 30K of a limit. You want to be able to have the money available to pay it off fast,
Mhm.
right? So it's like Jeffrey said, like I had saved that money. Like that's the thing to do. You save it first and
Yeah,
then you pay with the credit card and then you pay it off, right?
yeah,
But
correct.
fast forward, there was this gladiator speech and it had to do with how winter is your season, right?
Right.
So it's all about the mindset.
Yeah.
Again, the purpose of this podcast, inspired by my song, which I know Jeffrey listened to it at
I
the
bought it.
event the day I met him. Thanks so much, by the way. So you never know like who will support you, who will tell you what you need to hear when you need to hear it, right? It's oftentimes strangers, right? That will see a certain side of you, that will end up mentoring you, that will love you, perhaps bring things up more than your own family. So be open to new relationships, be open to growth, be open to the stretching of self, whether
Yeah,
it's because you need to pay for a ticket, because don't just look at the ticket, know of the future, right? The
right,
relationships. Will this person lead you to this person and so on and so
right.
forth? And it's all worth it in the end, right? Because you're investing in the you 5 years from now, not the you of tomorrow. And
Absolutely.
it's all a compounding effect.
Hmm.
So, Jeffrey, I'm so happy to have bumped into you, gotten to know you. You've got a beautiful family.
Thank you.
And, I'd love to dive deep into a boy versus a man. Can you tell us that real quick? What's the big differentiator?
Ah, that's a good question, man, because that took me a while to understand. And I think my wife plays a huge part in my success, man. She helped me grow up. Like I was a kid when I met her, the knucklehead. I didn't care about anybody else but Jeffrey, right?
Mm,
But she allowed me to slow down and really. I think when I met her, that was one of the biggest blessings. Why? Because I had just gotten my work permit. I was in that stage that I didn't really care, and when I met her, my daughter, she was 2 months and my son was 2 years old,
mm.
and we moved in within like 6 months, and that's when it hit me. I'm like, dude, I gotta grow up. Because it's not about you
Yeah.
anymore, Jeffrey. it's,
Yeah.
it's not about you anymore. It's like now you have a big responsibility. Now you gotta. At that time, she wasn't my wife when we moved in. We got married, I think, like 6 or 9 months after. I'm like, now you have a bigger responsibility. Now you have to provide for them. Now you gotta be an example, right? Like with my kids today, we were touching on the call. One of the guys shared that his son actually now calls him. He's 28 and he calls him for advice and he looks up to him. I'm like, that's what I want, right? I want my kids
Good.
to look up to me, right? I want to be an example of possibility. And I think that I've instilled a lot of those positive traits in them. And so that's what to me means growing up and becoming a man, that now it's about other people and it's not just about you, right? And by you taking care of other people, you automatically take care of yourself. So I learn so much more from my kids. It's insane. Like they catch on to things fast. Like the other day, I was listening to a podcast, and my son was listening in the background, and he said what the guy was gonna say already. And I'm like, damn. I'm like, how did you? He's like, Dad, I listen to you all the time, listening to this. Like I'm already getting programmed, right? I'm like, beautiful. I'm like, I want you
Bravo.
to be in that conversation, right? I want you to stay in that context.
Yes. Shake the hands of people at your level or above so that
Yeah,
you keep learning and eventually plot your way there.
yeah.
Hola, buenos días.
Hey,
Hey,
¿se cortó?
my power wasn't plugged in.
Oh, no worries.
But, I'm hoping it saved. That was gold right there.
It shows it's still recording. I'm right here. Let me see.
Took a little commercial break. So, Jeffrey, what is the best place that our listeners can find you?
I think Instagram and Facebook. I'm at Jeffrey Pinzon. So just my name, my last name, simple on Facebook as well. And then our podcast is called Unleash Your Power. You can find that on YouTube. And that's pretty much it. I'm always on Instagram. So if you want to catch me on Instagram,
Brilliant.
yeah, that's it.
Thanks for tuning in, and like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.